Right. Hello. Today we're going to be looking at continuing the classification of the kingdoms little mini unit. And today we're going to be finishing up with cladograms. Okay. Cladograms are a diagram that sort of displays the classification of organisms based on evolutionary relationships. So now we're sort of leading into our evolution unit. But these charts sort of separate out specific characteristics and show how things are related based on like certain characteristics, and you get to choose the characteristics really how you're ever dividing, depends on the group. But phylogeny is just a vocab word. It's just the evolutionary history of a group of species. So if I have, say, I choose a sunflower, a rose, a tomato plant, a pine tree, and an oak tree. I'm going to look at the evolutionary history of those 5 plants. That's a phylogeny. Okay. Cladistics is the classification based on common ancestry, and that's what we're going to look at today. So we look at more than just physical traits when we classify organisms, and we put them in at ascending order from the most common ancestor to the last individual organism we're looking at. And when we look at our phylogeny, okay? All right, so a cladogram is it's like an evolutionary tree diagram, and it sort of shows how species may be related to others based on a common ancestor. And we use something called derived characteristics. Right? It's a vocab word you need to make sure you know. These are just traits that are shared among a group of the species, but not shared amongst all of them. All right. So it could be like legs, or it could be like lungs, or an amniotic egg. Whatever it may be, you'll see when we get into them. But we use them to determine their evolutionary relationships. Right. This is a cladogram. So you have some kind of common. You always start with common ancestry on the bottom here. Okay. And you start moving up. All right. So develop from a blastula. That's just a developmental thing. But all of these organisms develop from a blastula. All right. So you have insects, fish, amphibians, birds, Permissians, which are like monkey type things, and then humans. All right. All of these have vertebrae except for the insects. Insects do not have vertebrae, so they're behind the vertebrae characteristic. I hope you noticed that. So vertebrae is here in the middle. Behind it is the common ancestor and the insects. We keep moving up. Tetrapod, which means you have legs, 4 legs, or you have legs, 4 limbs. So the fish have no limbs. Neither do insects, but amphibians, birds, Permissians, and humans all do. Keep moving up, amniotic egg. Amphibians do not have amniotic eggs. Nothing back here does. So if this thing here, see this line here? It's behind this line. Everything back through here does not have an amniotic egg. Everything up through here does. So then we have birds. The next characteristic is hair. Birds have feathers, not hair. So they're behind that line. None of these guys back here have hair. But Permissians and humans do. Then you have bipedal, which means you walk on 2 legs. These guys work on their front arms and their legs. So they're behind this, and humans are left behind. Right? That's a cladogram. So all these down here are the derived characteristics. If you're pretty much to the left of it, like this way, going down or to the left, you don't have the trait. Everything up does. But again, you always start with the common ancestor and move your way up through derived characteristics. Here's another one here. So you have hagfish, perch, salamander, lizard, pigeon, mouse, and chimps. This here, I put this one here because there's something a little bit different on this one. Same thing, jaws, lungs, claws, all these guys back here. If you're behind, to the left of the trait, you don't have it. Once we get up here, we have claws. Then you have this sort of different here that says feathers, all right? So this one is individual. If you see one up here in the middle of a line like this, it's individual. So birds have feathers, but they also have claws, lungs, and jaws, all right? They have feathers. Right? So you keep moving up, and then you have fur. So the birds are behind this, but they have their own characteristic there. They have all these right here, all right? They have all these. But just sort of showing you how unique. You'll see this a lot sometimes. You'll see them just, they have feathers or something else there. Just show they could easily be just a normal line here. This line here is just sort of showing you, hey, they have something different. And then you keep going for mammary glands and keep moving up. All right, that's a cladogram. All right. There is a worksheet that goes along with today's activity. Just work on that and get that turned in. And we have our quiz tomorrow. All right. Hope you guys learned something about the cladograms, understand how to use them. The biggest goal, you don't have to create them. You have to know how to read them. All right, so look at the left of these characteristics. You don't have it. To the right of the characteristics, you do have it. If you have one up on this little line here, only this guy here has it. All right, only this guy. Hope that helps. Talk to you later.